Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to TrepTalks. This is the show where I interview successful e-commerce entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business story, and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. And today, I'm really excited to welcome David Smith to the show. David is the founder and chief sleep consultant of Mattress Depot USA. Mattress Depot USA is a specialty sleep omnichannel retailer, helping customers find a better night's rest by selling high-quality brand name mattresses and bedding products in a comfortable, relaxing environment. And today I'm going to ask David a few quick questions about his entrepreneurial journey and some of the strategies and tactics that he has used to start and grow his business. So David, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Hi, Sushant. Thank you very much for having me out.
So I did a little bit of a research. I believe you started your business a little bit more than 20 years ago. And you started out as selling mattresses as a discount mattress liquidator. So can you share a little bit about what you were doing, a little bit about yourself, and what really kind of gave you the idea to start a mattress business?
Yeah, sure. So when they kind of say you start your mattress or you start your business out of a garage, this was a similar situation. We rented a storage unit and we purchased mattresses from the different factories. And how we started out is we would buy what they call their liquidation as is closeout mattresses. So these were ones that were, overstocks or had some slight defect or were a warranty exchange or something. And we bought these by the truckload. And then we would, ship them, stuff them into our warehouse and, do some guerrilla marketing and sell from there. And, really you're offering at that point a really name brand known mattress, but with scratch and blemishes. So, no different than they do in the clothing industry, furniture, appliances. We were doing the same thing with mattresses, and really doing it from the ground up out of a storage unit.
And did you have an entrepreneurship, like have you ever always been an entrepreneur and this was kind of like your next venture, or what kind of really motivated you to get into this business?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a little bit of a entrepreneur flair and desire, kind of to run my own show and to strike out and work harder, on my own. I started my first business actually when I was about, I was washing cars and stuff back when I was 12 years old, 13 years old around the neighborhood. And even before I turned 16, I got a pressure washer and started a pressure washing. And then I learned how to paint and started doing painting. So I was painting houses throughout college. Really started a pressure washing and painting company during the college years. And actually after college, continued to run that because it was doing very well. I went to college and was trained in accounting discipline and took business courses, but none of the accounting firms were going to pay me what I was making in a couple months in the summer painting homes. So it was really hard to give that up. At some point, I, decided I didn't want to keep painting and running this business. It was hard to scale that business. I think I got up to about 8-9 employees at one point. Well, and I just decided, hey, I'm going to go back. I want to go back into the corporate world and, learn some further disciplines in business and, wanted to go into commercial banking where I could learn a lot more about a lot of different types of businesses and what makes them tick and stuff. And so it was always that entrepreneurial passion that kind of drove me even after I sold that business after college and then went back to business school. And after business school, went to go work for a commercial bank and learn more about a lot of different businesses and work with a lot of different entrepreneurs. And that was fun too. And I always found them very similar to myself when, we're sitting across the table and talking about, credit terms and, working with the bank with their loan portfolio of customers and stuff. So it was really fun and I enjoyed that.
So how did you go or transition from there to mattresses? Did you just see an opportunity and kind of seized it, or
So I
how
actually
did?
ran into a colleague who had moved back I had moved back from, I was living in San Francisco. I was working for a commercial bank down there. They had transferred me up to the Seattle area where I was from, where I'd gone to high school, and, which is where I kind of wanted to end up. I ran into a colleague that I hadn't seen for a while who had also just moved back. And he was doing marketing. He was doing radio marketing. So we kind of said, hey, let's catch up. Let's go out to dinner, kind of see what each other's been up to. We hadn't seen each other in a while. And he goes, that's great. I want to bring a friend of mine and want you to meet him. And I said, great. So he picks me up and we go out to dinner. And, this individual had a mattress store where they were specializing in the liquidation. And at the time, we had a competitor who pretty much, I thought, had the monopoly in that market up here. And I asked him, I'm like, well, how do you compete with, the Sleep Country guys? And he just, kind of said, well, it's, price, and how I'm buying and selling, they can't compete with me. My issue is just, how I can scale and how I can, get supply, because supply is limited in this version. But he said a lot of other things as we're sitting there at dinner that I just knew interest me and piqued my interest, in that I thought, I kind of put my banker hat on. It's like, well, I'd be doing this and I'd be doing that. And so I saw a lot more growth and opportunity into it than he actually did. So my original colleague, friend, and I kind of decided we would get into the business, but didn't want to step on his toes in the current area. So we decided to open up down in the Las Vegas market. So I really got my start. This is about 1998 in Las Vegas. Las Vegas was growing like a weed. We did a lot of research and demographics. He left his marketing job at the radio station. I continued to work at the commercial bank, but together we grew this business. I did a little bit more remotely and flew down and helped them on weekends. And we started opening up stores down in Las Vegas. So that's how I got into it. And it just got into my blood at that point. And I was good at it. It was just natural for me. It was a product I could sell really easy for me. And so working with him, we grew a couple stores, but still kind of came to that point where he didn't want to keep growing. We were at 3 stores. Again, supply, you really had to work on keeping your supply going and finding deals. And he just kind of had this steady flow to support those 3 stores. I kind of asked him to buy me out, and he wanted to do that and take full ownership down there. And I thought, well, I'm just going to open it up here. It's, so after he bought me out, I gave it about 6 months, I started putting in the trenches to open up and take all that knowledge, all my networking that I'd done and contacts, and started opening up in the Seattle, Washington market.
And then you kind of changed your business model from going from like a liquidation kind of a business model to now becoming more of a retailer, purchasing from brands and then selling it to customers. Can you talk a little bit about,
Yeah, over time, we really, as I kind of mentioned a couple of times, supply could sometimes hinder your success, which, it's like if you had a unlimited supply of $10 bills that you only paid $8 for, you're always going to be able to sell the $10 bills for $10. It's just, maybe even 9 and split profit. But if you're limited on supply, it just challenges your growth. And so once I started opening up in the Seattle market, we kind of grew pretty quickly to about 4 or 5 stores. And it became evident that the supply wouldn't support further growth. And I really saw an eye to, to be honest, 50, 60 stores at that point. I had my eye for expanding that big. And so I had to start moving into a model of how can I, continue to sell mattresses, still kind of off of that discount realm. And we started bringing in the first line quality mattresses, warranted mattresses, and be a little bit more of a traditional, specialty retail mattress store. And as we just, we did it slowly. We didn't do it overnight. We kept opening up stores, and each time we did, we'd reduce the amount of liquidation stock that we would carry in those stores. And so it kind of gradually morphed to that point where, I don't know, when we got to about 20 or so stores, we were barely, really having liquidation closeout specials. Not that we still don't, but it's just now it's a little bit more targeted. We may not, we may buy a couple trailers if we get a really good deal. We just did a transaction where we're buying a couple truckloads of Purple mattress. We don't even carry Purple in our store, but we had an opportunity to buy a couple truckloads of closeouts, and we'll be sprinkling those in throughout our store. So we're still doing it, but I would say it's 5% of our business, where at one point it was 90% of our business.
So when you started out 20 years ago, it almost seemed like, this market is a very good market where, where supply is the constraint and not the demand. It almost seems like, really a good market to get into. Can you talk a little bit about the mattress market in the United States, and how has it changed since you started? Is it still kind of like supply is the constraint, and you can sell as much as you can, and the growth has kind of how much you want to grow, or has it kind of changed because there's a lot more competitors now, and of course now you have everything online as well. Can you talk a little bit about the market and how it has changed since you kind of started out?
Yeah, and remind me if I forget when I answer the first part of your question to talk about the online portion, because that is a big discussion in itself. But when I say supply constraint, I mean specifically the liquidation, clearance, closeout deal pricing. And when to give you an idea of a deal, you're talking about paying maybe $100 for a mattress that regularly would wholesale for $800 or $900, and that would retail for $1,800. So our model at that time was we'd buy those, we'd mark them and say $900, 50% off, which we were, and we're selling them for $900, but we're only paying $100. But there was only a limited supply of that mattress because it was a clearance closeout. On the first line mattresses, obviously there's all the supply in the world. So not that they don't have supply issues, but the demand stays relatively steady overall. It is, you can drive demand on the lower price end a little bit easier than you can on the higher end spectrum. And that's probably true for a lot of goods. Our industry is a very stable industry. It kind of, in a good year, it grows 5%, and in a bad year, it maybe drops 2 or 3%, 4%, right? So it's a very stable demand, but the supply equation of it that I was really more alluding to was on the clearance and liquidations. So as we morph into more of first line, carrying all the national brands, all the warranties, mattresses, we had to, look at more traditional ways of advertising and ways to compete with those competitors in the market. The industry has some really good dynamics, and these are some of the things I learned when I was still in banking and I was studying the industry. Why do I want to go in the mattress industry? Okay, well, here's a nice, interesting fact. Mattresses don't go down in value. They only go up. You could buy a mattress today, stick it in a warehouse, and 5 years later, open up that warehouse, sell the mattress for more than you would have 5 years ago, because it continues to go up, usually at about the rate of inflation. But the, overall, it doesn't degrade in value, because, mattresses, for, lack of a better word, aren't that, fancy from a standpoint of they're meant to sleep on. They're not fashionable. They don't deteriorate. They're not like food. They're not like, some other products where, like a fashion product, where if you make a whole bunch, next season it may not be in fashion. That shirt may not sell. So that was one of the really attractive things in the industry that I liked, was you have a product that pretty much will hold its value, and at some point you'll always be able to recoup your money out of it. Now, the demand will still ebb and flow. So if you can control your inventory and your supply, theoretically, you can keep a pretty stable business. That in lies makes it a competitive business. It's a product everybody needs. Everybody pretty much sleeps on a mattress. And so, it's not even everybody has a phone, right? And not only that, most households have multiple mattresses. Think of it more like a TV. But again, not every household has a TV. Those that do usually have multiple. With mattresses, every household has a mattress. Everybody needs a mattress. And there's usually multiple in each household. So demand is there. It's steady. Supply is important. It's usually steady, but can kind of fluctuate. What drives that industry then becomes competition. It's highly competitive. How do you separate yourself? Because there are a lot of players in it. Over the last 25 years, it has changed a lot. It went from more of a mom and pop industry, where there were a lot of local small players in the industry, to, there's like one. There used to, at least at some point, there was like at least 4 or 5 very large chains. Now it's down to one really large chain. You have other channels that are selling that, are large, and they bring a level of competition to the industry. So it's evolved like that, to where our distribution channels have changed, our competitors have changed, and we've had to obviously morph, change along the way. We're kind of now, a little bit more hard, we're considered maybe a mom and pop, even though we have, 32 store locations with our brand name. We're still relatively small when you look at somebody like a Mattress Firm that has, 2,800 stores. Wow. But then there's a lot of other chains that have 200 and 300 chain stores. And then there's a lot of really small, and those guys, there's not as many as there used to be. They maybe have 2 stores, or maybe only 1, right? So that's been interesting. What's really changed, obviously, in the last, let's call it 15 years, and even I would say more so in the last 5 to 8, would be the online channel distribution of the industry. So, probably right around 2005 and 6, we started seeing online mattresses being sold. I think Casper started somewhere around them, and they were kind of the first big online mattress. They got traction, but it didn't feel like they were taking much from the independent retailers. But I think where that market started to shrink first was on the lower end price points. And so the online market, if you think about it, a mattress quality is determined by weight. I mean, it's really that simple. And there's a lot of products that it's that simple. Fabrics, generally the weight of the fabric determines the quality of the fabric. Mattresses, they're the same. Usually the weight of a lot of stuff determines the quality. Well, to make something shippable across country via UPS, you got to make it as light as possible. So generally the quality on those online mattresses are designed to be inferior and less quality than the mattresses that are delivered locally to your independent mattress store that have to then be delivered by truck to your house because they're so big and bulky. And that big and bulkiness always keeps a little bit of the market off of being online. And I think a bit of having to try the mattress out, because you can't tell how a mattress feels by looking at a mattress.
Yeah.
You can see what it looks like. Same thing with clothes. You can see what they look like, but you don't ultimately know the quality or how they feel. So you tend to, maybe repeat your purchases from a store that has that quality level that you like. But with mattresses, it's interesting. So we're actually now seeing a little bit of a decline in the online mattress market share. Not as quick as I'd like, but it's declining their portion of the share, because you have people that may have bought an online mattress 5-6 years ago, and it's just not holding up. And it's obvious the quality isn't there, and they probably never really liked it that much in the first place. And they see, this is a product I need to go in, I need to try it out, I need to feel it and make the purchase. But they still, like I said, they're still probably 25% of the share. Most of that share, though, is the lower end market. That is people kind of going, well, I need a mattress. I just, I got a contract job here. I'm going to be working here for a year. I'm just going to buy a cheap online mattress. What we kind of call convenience purchase.
That's so interesting. So even your online channel is kind of 25, and then your stores are 75%.
Well, our online's less than that. I'm talking the overall mattress market share in the US. We're actually closer to 5, because we try and drive people into the store more through that channel. We maybe source 20-25% of our business through online channels, but ultimately that transaction happens in the retail store. We're probably, there's 5% of the business is purchased online in the shopping cart, and then we deliver to that customer, and we didn't hear about them. But we really still, even with having live chat sessions online, we try and get the customer into the store if at all possible. And sometimes it's a customer that's been in the store and they've done all that, and they just want to, hey, I already know what I want, saw it in the store, it's that, and they purchase, and that's great. But just somebody across the the United States shopping on the web, selecting a mattress, a much smaller portion share than the overall portion in the US.
I think that makes a lot of sense, considering that the big factor in mattress is weight, and it's probably a lot of hassle shipping really heavy mattresses. I mean, on your website, I see, there's mattresses $299 to thousands of dollars. Is it, what is the bottom line? You've been selling mattress for so many years. Is it really about the weight? Like the heavier the material, the comfortable it's going to be, the less back problems it's going to cause for people. What is, like, when you see advertising on TV and things like that, and even companies like Casper, they come up with like all these different factors of this is going to cause you less back problems, better sleep, all these things. What is kind of the bottom line, and what is the biggest market share? People, I'm assuming not everybody's buying like $5,000 mattress. What is the biggest kind of market out there for this?
Yeah, right now the stats show about 27% of the market's what they call ultra premium, or 3,000 and above, which we have a good selection of those ultra premium mattresses. And what makes those ultra premium? Well, first of all, it's the quality of the materials in the mattress. They're using the highest quality foams. They're using silk and cashmere into the comfort layers, so it breathes very naturally. The steel in the coils is 2 or 3 times tempered. The pocketed coils are wrapped with a much more dense, stronger pocket. There's all these different components within a mattress that you can go cheap on some of the components, you can go less expensive on all the components, which would make it a real less expensive mattress, or you can go real high end and expensive on all the components. So the different various degrees of mattresses and where their price point at a retail is really a function of the quality of the materials that are put into the mattress in the first place. And so, as far as, is there any one perfect mattress for anybody? Absolutely not. And thank goodness, because if there was, this would be a really, really difficult business, because everybody would just buy that mattress and there would be no margins on it. And nobody would, I mean, there would be no innovation, no nothing. So the fact that a mattress that might be comfortable for one person's not necessarily comfortable for everybody leads to the dynamics of the industry, to where it's really important for customers to come into the store, lay on the mattress, try the mattress. We can encourage customers to come in sweats. I mean, we've had customers come in their pajamas, like literally. I mean,
wow.
Of course, you see some of the kids nowadays goes to schools in their pajamas, so it's not that big of a stretch. But the need to get in there, try it out, take your time, and then we talk about their different sleeps. How they sleep. Everybody sleeps. There's 3 positions. You're either on your back, your side, or your stomach. Some people are 2 of the positions. Some are 1 position only. Some are all 3. And based off that, we can take a customer down that funnel of what mattresses make the best sense. And obviously, budget's always a consideration. I mean, there is a good quality firm mattress above 3,000, and then there's a really soft quality mattress that's above 3,000. But there is also in that mid price point, and in the lowers, in the what we would call the promotional lineup, there's still firm mattresses and softer mattresses. Now, again, it's all the components within them. They're not going to feel as luxurious. Doesn't mean somebody can't buy one of those and have a good night's sleep. No, I mean, but they probably have to be younger, more vibrant, and their bodies have to recover easier than somebody that needs a higher quality mattress to get a really deep sleep and not wake up with aches and pains because they've got really poor support in their mattress. Some people don't need much support. Some people sleep really good on the ground. Like it's interesting. You get some people, they like as firm as mattress as we have. And we've got some really firm mattresses, but they still might say, oh, any firmer, you might as well just sleep on the ground.
Yeah.
So that it is funny that some people are just as comfortable in that type of a sleep environment. But so we're all different, and that's all caused by our body types, our age, our health, body weights, all these things determine the right mattress. And so we have to have a selection, and therefore we try and carry as big a selection possible and get the right mattress for that customer when they come into the store. And that's a little bit of a, it's a process. we can't hire people that just kind of want to point to mattresses. They have to almost have like a doctor consulting visit with the customers that come in if they're going to get them into the right mattress.
Wow, very interesting. From a business perspective, so you said that now obviously there is more competition, there are other chains. If a business is trying to get into this industry and this business, is the bottom line really on who is a good business person, who can kind of reach the scale so that, you know, they have the staying power? Like what would you say is your kind of the value proposition right now? Because I'm assuming that, you know, the mattresses, the brand names that you're selling is kind of, you know, available at other stores as well. You did mention that there is that consultative approach. You know, you have to give the customer more of that, you know, consultation doctor kind of a thing. What is your value proposition, and is it really that as a business person you've kind of been able to reach the scale that really makes your business more resistance to competition than would a smaller kind of a store?
Yeah, I mean, you know, to be honest, I do believe that, you know, if you think of it in terms of it's a product, and to be successful in this business or having this product, you got to be a really successful business person. You got to have that business mind. And that is, I've seen a lot of competitors come and go in this industry. And I mean, a lot. I can't count on my hands, toes, and feet. Like two of them just went out in our area, guys that have been in business for, you know, probably about close to 10 years, just went out of business in the last 6 months. And, you know, of course we go try and get some of their good at salespeople and bring them in. So, you know, I know it's not always their salespeople. We like to think that we have some of the best sales consultants, and that is an important part of the business, but it's everything, right? Like, I mean, I've seen every mistake possible that has brought, you know, retail mattress stores down, you know, and they're really the same that you see with any of the other stores that I see kind of fold up shop over time. And, you know, one of the things I've always kind of done is, you know, our local business, it's kind of like the business journal. It has all the local companies, and, you know, it gives you all the, you know, tax warrants in the back, and it shows you all new leases signed, all that kind of stuff. I always peruse that, you know, always looking for names under tax warrants. Okay, somebody didn't file their Department of Revenue sales tax, right? Like here's somebody running their business, and they're running their business out of the cash coffers of sales tax, or you know, somebody in the business, you know, stepped up and, you know, bought too much merchandise too quick, and you know, couldn't liquidate it in the time. So, you know, when it comes down to business, the one important thing is cash is king, right? And so you have to keep a level of cash available to, you know, weather out the storm, because, you know, we're all going to go through slow times, you know, together. And you got to have cash built up, a reserve to weather that storm. You got to make sure you know you're hiring employees that aren't stealing from you, or, you know, if you have a way to, you know, figure out if they are very quickly, so you could get rid of them. So there's all these different business avenues that are really important, that are important in every business. And that's, I think, ultimately, you know, attributed to our success, and, you know, ultimately, I think do for most businesses. And, you know, the cliche comes down to the people is important. You know, we also say location's important. You know, if you have a really bad location, then you better have a really good salesperson, because the traffic is gonna be really slow, and therefore they got to close every person that walks through that door. If you have a really busy location, you're going to have more traffic, therefore you may not have as good a salesperson in there, and you could be a little bit more successful. So those are kind of things that come down to people. All organizations are just a sum of the people of the organizations, and so if you have a bunch of superstars, a bunch of Tom Brady's, a bunch of Michael Jordans, you're going to have a really good team, right? So that's in lies same with business. If it's just you, if you're just a sole proprietorship, then you need to be making sure you're doing everything the best. And you're not always going to make the right decisions, but your right decisions have to outweigh your wrong decisions, because as soon as that scale gets flipped, that's when businesses start to fail, because more wrong decisions have been made than the correct ones.
That's so true. You mentioned you have about 32 retail locations right now. Can you talk a little bit about how you have grown over the years? You said location is really important. What are you located throughout the US? Pretty uniformly, and how do you go about finding a new location or making the decision to say, yes, I want a new store at this place, and this makes sense?
Yeah, most of our locations are in the state of Washington. We have a couple in Oregon. We used to have a couple franchises outside. We had one in Atlanta, Georgia. And so the closer to, let's call it the mothership, we can, have some economies to scale on our broadcast advertising. And so we kind of moved away from expanding too far out. Like I said, I really feel like we can get to 50, 60 stores just in the state of Washington, all within that same marketing zone, without expanding too far outside into other states and throughout the US. Would our model work? Yes, but if we go into a new market, we have to kind of expand to a size that makes the marketing that we do currently able to pay for that locations, and therefore scale it. So most of it, like I said, is within a drive, a day's drive away. We can reach most of our stores.
And the traffic in your stores, is it really now, I'm assuming in the state of Washington, your stores are kind of your brand is recognizable. People, if they think about Mattress, they can associate it with your store. What kind of effect, what kind of marketing works well in this? Is it really, can you talk a little bit about your marketing and, what kind of promotional programs you run to really drive the sale?
Really, from the beginning, we kind of thought about that. Hey, what type of marketing do we want to have that's going to have some longevity? Because we want to build our brand. We carry a lot of well-known name brands, but we don't want to necessarily promote their brands without promoting our brand. So, we kind of came up with, in the beginning, we came up with our name, Mattress Depot. When people think of depot, they think of train. And people are like, well, what do trains and mattresses have in common? And the true answer is not a whole lot, but people like trains, and there was a company called Sleep Train. So when that company existed, we kind of thought, well, let's put a little spin off that, and let's put some type of creative, tongue-in-cheek type advertising. So we do advertising. We have a jingle that is a pretty good jingle. We had that design done. We bought the rights to our jingle. Kids kind of like the jingle. They'll come into our store singing the jingle. And that helps because it ties that brand with the jingle that we advertise. Jingles, you can advertise on the radio, you can advertise them streaming online, you can, obviously advertise them in broadcast. So that was one of, I think, the important creative things is when we came up with some type of marketing identity, we had this jingle that we could share with our brand. And then one of the things, on our TV advertising, I'll be dressed up as a train conductor and I'll do some pretty goofy dancing, not too crazy goofy. And this kind of stems from, in the past, I remember growing up, a couple local appliance companies and advertisers. There was this one appliance company that the husband and wife would do the commercials together. And at the end, he was kind of dressed up in overalls. And at the end of the commercial, she would always take a pie and slap it in his face. And it was a very successful appliance company. And the whole premise was, he was this kind of tongue-in-cheek, goofy guy, and the wife was the serious one. And she threw a pie in his face at the end of every commercial. Well, I didn't really want my wife throwing a pie in my face every commercial. So I said, how about you can be the serious, one in the commercials that does the talking a lot, and I will be kind of the more tongue-in-cheek, a little bit of the goofy guy. And at the end of the commercial, I'll just do all these different dance moves. And what's been kind of neat is over time, dance moves kind of are fashionable. It's really kind of interesting. I mean, if you really want to go back, you remember the Macarena. That was like, people do the Macarena. And then you had the floss that got, really, and then Fortnite came along and then they had all these creative dances. Well, I was doing this before Fortnite came along, but it just kind of worked out that, now every time we do a commercial, I got to pick the new latest and greatest kind of funny dance moves to do at the end of the commercial on our lead out, along with our jingle. Does that have anything to do with mattresses? No, but what it has to do is to get customers to remember when they need a mattress, because people don't need a mattress every day. But there is a day they will need a mattress and they're going to be shopping for a mattress. And I want to be the first person they think of for however I get in their head, So, I just want to get in their head so they give us a chance. They come into our store and ultimately, that builds our brand. So that's kind of that's been our philosophy and what we've kind of done on marketing pretty consistently through the last, 25 plus years.
I definitely have to find some of your commercials to see those.
Yeah, if you go to our YouTube channel, I mean, there's 90% of them are on the YouTube channel. We even have some that I forget the name, is this one where everybody would dress up and then they would dance in the middle of, Times Square and stop. Start to dance. Well, we did our version of that, and we got a ton of hits on it online. We never did that one on TV, and there's a couple others we haven't necessarily done on TV, but they're on the YouTube channel. And as you'll see, they're very tongue-in-cheek, and they're not too serious, but they're not overly goofy where I'm taking a pie in the face. So
definitely makes sense. I know you offer same-day delivery. I'm very curious. I mean, your locations are all in Washington State. Are these your own kind of trucks that do the delivery, or you use like any third-party logistics services for this?
Yeah, so we have a central warehouse. We do have a full, level of logistics and delivery crews, but we also utilize third-party, and that's sometimes that comes into play with a same-day delivery. Now, we don't have a lot of people that necessarily need same-day delivery, right? It's there are times customers call us from the airport and they're getting somewhere. I need a mattress, and can you make this happen tonight? I don't, so that does happen, and we certainly get the requests on the same day delivery. We have multiple ways of, making that happen. I mean, first and foremost, so we got to have the product in stock, and, usually that conversation will start out with the customer, that knowing that they need to have same day. We'll make sure we're pointing them in the direction of something we have in stock. And then, we've got, like I said, we've got our own internal crews that we can dispatch to swing by that store in that area to go deliver to the customer. Or we've got third-party companies that are doing the same thing for other furniture companies and, other Amazon, Flex companies. A lot of these delivery companies obviously are doing it for multiple different businesses, and they can be flexible to swing on by and dispatch and stuff.
For sure.
It's not a fun part of the business, I will tell you. Trucks, truck maintenance, truck drivers, safety. It's not the part of the business I enjoy. It's not the part of the business that makes us any more competitive than someone else. It's a necessary evil of the business. We've found a way to do it very efficiently, and but we're always working on ways to limit our costs and that time. We're doing a lot of direct ships from factories. If it is if it is a product that's rolled, that's shippable, that's customer on some of those lower price points. We'll just, all right, I'll put an ad in, and ship, it'll be at your house in 3 days, similar to like they ordered it online, only at least they came in and tried it out, and it'll show up, and then they're okay doing the other part. But then some need that white glove delivery service. They want it all set up, packaging, takeaway, and then those generally have to be through our internal delivery crews.
I would assume that, I mean, with this kind of a product, this, like the last kind of the handover of the product is probably really important from a customer experience perspective, because that's when they're receiving. So how they receive it, and what kind of help they get when they're receiving, I think that's probably makes a difference from a customer perspective. And
it's the last thing they're going to think about the business. So a big part of our business is repeat and referral business. So it's over 35% of our customers have either bought from us before, or somebody, referred them to come in and purchase from us because they purchased from us. So we call that repeat referral business, and it's over 35%, and that's great, right? Like, that's important. But you've got to have a good experience, soup to nuts, to want to refer somebody, right? And now maybe we've probably had some where it was great experience all the way up until the delivery guys got there, and they were in a bit of a rush, and they scratched our wall, and okay, we'll fix it, sorry, but it's it happens. It's but it's important part where we try and make sure that our delivery team, especially when we're doing that white glove delivery service, provides that right up until the end for the customer, because that's their last point of contact. If the customer takes the product from our store home, then that last point of contact's that salesperson when they ring it up, and they wrestle the mattress out of their truck up the stairs to their bedroom, and if they scratch their walls, they don't blame us, but so it's an important part. Our delivery guys wear uniforms. They're clean cut. They're it's tough. We can't have them too young, because driving's an important part of it, the safety of it. Our trucks are big billboards that are out on the road, so that's another form of advertising. And if we got somebody driving in and out of traffic like a crazy person, our number's all over that truck. They're going to call, and they're going to complain, and they're probably not going to buy a mattress from us, nor should they. So it's all those little details that you got to think about. That's an important portion of the business. with usually very little upside if you do it perfect, other than, it helps you get a good review online, and then, hopefully they're going to refer a customer because of that. They're traditionally not going to all of a sudden, buy more after their products, everything's worked out good, right? So they're usually making that full decision when they come in the first time. And but the important part is how they then refer our business to friends, family, coworkers.
For sure. We are a little bit over time. Do you have 5 more minutes to continue going?
Sure.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So last question before I move on to our rapid fire segment. There's in every entrepreneur journey, there's always mistakes made, lessons learned, failures. I mean, you've been in business for a long, long time. So, what do you consider failure? I mean, what was your kind of like a mistake or a business failure that you consider that if avoided, that would have been a better thing for your business? What did you learn from it, and what can other entrepreneurs learn from your mistakes?
I would say mistakes is generally going to be people related. Keeping people too long that you knew you shouldn't have. I always kind of say that the hardest thing to do maybe is let somebody go. I've got empathy. That's a tough thing to do. Sometimes you get invested in people's families and their lives, and it's like, but they're not able to do the job. And, if they're not able to do the job, then, I'm not doing them, any favors by keeping them on, because a lot of our job is commission based. And if they can't make, certain sales attainments, they're not really making that well of an income. And therefore, is this really the right career for them? So I would say that's generally mistake, number one is, not probably, getting past that empathy and letting people go when it's the right time, versus trying to keep making it work out longer.
For sure. Now I'm going to move on to our rapid fire segment. In this segment, I'm going to ask you a few quick questions, and you have to answer them maybe in a couple of words or a sentence or so. The first one is one book recommendation, business book for entrepreneurs, and why?
So I don't read a lot of business books. I read actually a lot of investing books, and then I read a lot of health and wellness books. What I do get a lot of my business acumen from in the reading world is magazines, believe it or not. And so, I mentioned earlier, your local business journal. That is a great, source of business knowledge. It's great for networking within your community. I think almost every size city has, I think they're actually, like, a lot of them are owned by the same. So always studying that. And, Business Week was always one of my favorite magazines. It always had great information in there. One of the things I did that I learned, and I had a competitor come knock on my door once, and he goes, will you buy my company? And he literally, like, walked up, he goes, I need you to buy my company, take over my stores. And we'd kind of been a little bit, pretty tough competitors. And I said, we went out, and after we'd kind of done the deal, I said, so why, you could make this thing run, obviously, yeah, it's in decline, but it's savable. Why did you come to me? And he said, man, you did something that was brilliant. That is, when you did that, my business thing. And it was one time I read in a Business Week about buying domains that are similar to your competitors and brands spellings, but they're misspelled. And there's a term for it, and it slipped my mind now. It's it's like when somebody takes over somebody's house and then they don't leave. The word I'm, but anyways, that was, they called that domain whatever. And so I'd done that. I'd went out and bought like 100 domains of all my customers, every spelling possible, even the really big ones.
Wow.
And it was just from an article I had read. I'm like, God, that's a brilliant idea. It's not that expensive to do, you know. I mean, mattress, everybody spells mattress with one T, but you know, the 800-pound gorilla doesn't own their trade name domain in a domain form spelt with one T. So I did that, and you know, that was something I had learned from a Business Week article, and there's been many more examples, but that was one where, again, you know, you pick these things up. To me, magazines are a little bit easier to read and get through on a weekend than a book.
Okay. And you basically redirected that traffic to your site. Is that what you did?
Yes.
Okay. That's genius. Yeah.
Yeah.
An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you feel excited about?
Well, in my industry or just any industry?
Any industry. Or it could be yours.
I mean, I honestly think that health could be really, there's a lot of different health service things through technology that I'm excited about, because, you know, I'm kind of one of these, you know, as you get older in age, you want to keep getting older and older, healthy and all that. And I think technology really has an ability to help all of us live longer, healthier, happier lives. But it's going to take, you know, somebody funneling this and putting it to, you know, properly, so it, you know, everybody can, you know, enjoy the possibilities of it. Within my own industry, there's a couple new products that I'm excited about. Again, our industry is not too technologically changing, but they just, there's a massage mattress that I'm kind of excited to try out at the next market. You know, massage chairs are a pretty big industry in themselves. You know, there's never been a mattress that you lay on and it massages you, and, you know, now you don't need a chair, you just got the mattress. So we'll see. I don't know if it does as good a job, but
wow, very interesting. A business or productivity tool or software that you would recommend, or a productivity tip?
Well, I mean, a simple one, but I mean, Dropbox to me was, you know, when that came along, and we started using that right from the beginning. And I think it, you know, and I know there's different forms of it, but to me, Dropbox is an amazing tool. It works great. It's, you know, it's not expensive. And, you know, with technology the way it is, it allows you, and it's on every app, your phone, whatever, you could access files anywhere with that in the cloud and really truly be accessible 24/7.
Another startup or business in e-commerce, retail, or technology that you think is currently doing great things?
Well, obviously AI has got a lot of legs, but it's got availability in every business. And so I think that is probably our next technology leap, is how AI helps. I mean, just in my business, you know, if I could have the perfect AI little software where customer can come in and answer some questions, and it just, you know, it has that conversation with the customer to select the right mattress, and do it better than a human could do it, right? Like that doesn't exist. Could it be created? Probably, but I don't know if anybody's going to invest the time and effort for the mattress industry for that AI. But I think AI has got a lot of, you know, I think of it in the medical field. You know, if all the medical data in the world were to go into some kind of a data computer, we could all self-diagnose ourselves instantaneously for diseases and ailments, and, you know, again, live longer, happier, healthy lives. It's, you know, why we live is to live longer, happier, healthier, right? If we can.
Yeah.
So any way AI can help in that venture, I think is just going to be phenomenal.
I think that's already happening. I mean, all of these AIs are kind of in progress. Even recently, I read a news where someone had an issue and they saw multiple doctors. They couldn't really provide a proper diagnosis, and they put like on Chat GPT, they put their symptoms and it kind of gave them the right diagnosis. So yeah, I think it's definitely happening. Final question.
And with us, we have a sleep software that works really good. And we do sell a device that you stick underneath your mattress, and it gives you a readout every morning of how you slept. It gives you a score. It gives you your heartbeat. It gives you your breath rate. Now you think you take it to the next level. It can start taking your blood pressures and stuff like that, where you can maybe catch stuff earlier and you can see trends and, correct, so you can sleep better. But it's going to be amazing. Exciting. It's an exciting time to be living and seeing this come to fruition, and see where it goes.
A peer entrepreneur or business person whom you look up to, or someone who inspires you?
Well, my entrepreneurship came from, two people, my dad and my uncle. So I would say they both inspired me, and I think they're where I get a lot of my traits from as an entrepreneur. But when it comes to obviously more well-known personalities, I would have to say Elon Musk. In my book, just is an amazing genius, right? I think that, to obviously inspire to be like him, and I'm not near, I wish I could be as 10th as smart as him, or 100th, whatever he is. And he works hard. The guy sleeps in his office. He does everything that, as an entrepreneur, you look at and go, yeah, he's doing it all 10x what most entrepreneurs even think is possible. So
yeah, for sure. Final question: best business advice that you ever received or you would give to other entrepreneurs?
Best business advice: don't do a partnership.
Partnership, yeah.
Yeah, I think the best business advice is always come down to ownerships. And in the beginning, ownership's important, and, make sure that, if you have partners, it's going to work out well in the long run. Have everything predetermined, plan the best you can. I'm not saying obviously don't do partnerships and, don't sell stocks and stuff like that, but I think plan it from the beginning properly, and take the time to do that right, because I think that's important. It sets up the long-term path and runway. And it's last thing you want to be when you start getting to be successful is to worry about how's our ownership and who's got the say and what are we doing next. You want to keep just focusing on growing and being, staying on the path to success.
Yeah, that's such a great advice. I think any kind of partnership relationship, it can be challenging, or sometimes if things work out, then they're great. So definitely a great advice there. Well, David, those were all the questions I had. I know we went a little bit over time, so really appreciate your extra time, and thank you so much for the opportunity, for sharing your story, sharing about the mattress industry and how you have grown your business. So thank you again for the opportunity. If anybody wants to check out your products, what is the best way to do that?
Well, go to our website, mattressdepotusa.com. And again, if you want to see some of the fun commercials, go to our YouTube channel. Just type in Mattress Depot USA and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Awesome. We'll definitely do. Well, thank you, David, again. Really appreciate it, and wish you all the very best in your business.
Thank you, Sushant. Take care.